What's up, geeks and geekettes? I have not said that in a very long time. It's a very special edition of the Countdown City Geek Cast. My name is Ted, aka Steady. This guy right here is one and only Retro Ray, and we are going to be talking all about the Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare.
Gus March Phillips, I have a mission.
What's the plan?
Yeah, definitely a movie you're going to want to go see, especially if you like World War II movies, Pearl Harbor, just war movies in general. This cast is great.
This is based on a actual real story, a book by a guy named Damian Lewis, who basically was writing about Winston Churchill's prime minister at the time, Winston Churchill's secret weapon during World War II, and helped really turn the tide in favor, or shall I say, against the Nazis.
They're all mad.
They'll need to be.
We're here to talk about the movie adapted from that book, and it is quite an interesting and, shall I say, unique story.
Yeah.
This is all about a band of misfits that the Prime Minister, not Parliament, he did this all on his own. The Prime Minister of England basically recruited and set out on this practically a suicide mission to take out the German support and the supply chains for all of their submarines and their U-boats. And this is quite an interesting movie. Lots of action, lots of brutal death scenes, and it brings this unique group of actors and actresses um, and puts them in this sort of very quirky type comedic Guy Ritchie film. I've not seen a lot of Guy Ritchie's films lately. Can't remember the last time I saw one of his movies, but honestly, I did like it a lot. I think that it does what it's supposed to do. It hits the comedic moments when it wants to. Like the action's great, like the fighting is brutal, and that's like the good stuff I'm going to say about it. The story's quite interesting, and it's based on it's true story, so it is quite interesting. I think I might have heard that because it's movie, it's slightly embellished
Yeah.
compared to the like the real story. But like what movie's not slightly embellished? But I will say that Henry Cavill, never seen a guy quite like this, and I really appreciated him in this role. I feel like he's able to stretch his comedic chops a little bit, and he's a great lead man. What are
Yeah.
some of the things you liked about this movie?
Well, I mean, okay, I don't know. Do you ever remember watching back in the day about I think it was U571 with Matthew McConaughey, where you never saw
Way
that
back
one?
in the day.
Yeah, that one was great. So it's kind of like, so I love war movies. I'm a sucker for these type of movies. Pearl Harbor, Hurt Locker, anything that has war movies, World War II, anything. I love these type of movies, and especially somewhat true to a certain extent. Of course, Pearl Harbor was embellished a lot in certain scenes, but it's just in general that type of stuff. I've always been drawn to it, and seeing this movie, and then the whole taking out the U-boats thing, it kind of flashback of the U-571 movie, where it's like that was the last U-boat that the Americans stole and breaking the code, and it was just all that in general. World War II film. This in general, you look at these characters. If you like, Alan and Reacher, Cavill, like I said, Cavill took it to the next level in acting to me. You know, because part of me is like, okay, I'm seeing him there. I see him Superman, and I've seen him in other movies, but this was something out of the ordinary that he normally would do. So him being a leader, but at the same time kind of being kind of crazy to a certain extent. Especially like when, they bring him into the room, and um he starts taking things. They tell him, "Hey, you want some tea?" And no, he goes and grabs the liquor. Then he starts taking cigars, and you know what I mean? Those little things like that. He was just saying like, "I want this. I'm gonna take it. So it was cool overall seeing that character. But what did you think of Cavill?
I really, like I said, he's great in this lead role. He's always kind of great as a lead, but never seen him quite this. Not the charismatic's not the word. I want to say just quirky. Um, he's not been in too many comedies, and I don't even remember the last time I saw him make a joke in a movie. But he's really good in this type of role. I wish there was more humor in this movie. I think that it, like, as an entire genre of film, it probably fits perfectly into this borderline parody. Like Inglorious Bastards, this is gonna get brought up a lot because it's also like, based on not a true story, but it's based on a real conflict, but not a true story by any
Yeah.
stretch of the imagination. But that one did a better job of kind of becoming this sort of sarcastic parody of a war film. Didn't take itself seriously ever, and yet it kind of was perfectly the just the right tone. And this one, it feels like it wants to kind of find that tone, and it kind of teeters throughout. And I felt like we were almost there, like some more comedy, some more sarcasm, quicker cuts, more music to fit in line with the tonality. It kind of keeps swaying back and forth between like action film and this sort of Wes Anderson type, dramedy, and which is fine, but I really wanted to kind of lean more into that quirkiness, into that humor type area. But still, like, cool, cool movie, really cool movie, really good. I enjoyed it. And then we can talk about some more stuff. Well, spoiler warning from here on out if you haven't seen the film. The opening sequence like sets this is probably the best version or the best um attempt at that sort of tone where it's jokey, it's fun, and that opening sequence lays it all out. And then from there, we just need a little bit more help kind of leaning into that some more. But I love like the opening sequence. They get stopped by this German like warship, and all the characters, all these actors we've seen so much, and they have these accents down like perfectly, and
Yeah.
it matches sort of the silly nature of this suicide mission that they're on, and it's just so good. It's just so fun, and Alan's great, like you mentioned earlier. We're gonna talk about Isa a little bit.
Oh yeah.
Isa really steals the show when she's on screen. Isa, who just came off of one of Netflix's biggest series ever, Three Body Problem, and she's been in a number of things. I first saw her in Robert Rodriguez's From Dusk Till Dawn TV series on the Ray Network of all places. Um, yeah, I think that was either her first role or like her breakout role, but she's so good in this role. She just eats it
Oh
up
yeah.
like anytime she's on screen. So great cast. I almost want to say like I wish we had them, like we got to see them do more stuff. It's not that it's too many people to juggle, but we kept going back to the prime minister and what was going on with sort of these other armies and stuff. um but we also have a fantastic villain in this movie. I'm gonna see if I could find his name real quick. But
So I
such
got a
a
question for you.
yeah,
So I got to okay, this is just how I think, and I'm an older man than you are, so
a
I'm
little
pretty
bit.
sure I'm pretty sure you got to know the A team, the original A team, right?
Sure.
Okay, so I kind of got a feel of this was kind of like the A team to an extent, where we got Murdoch, who was a specialist in flying. Each of these characters had a specialty, who were the shooter, I mean, it was kind of like, each character, like Face was, I guess, equivalent to the pretty girl because she could talk all kinds of languages. It was kind of like, to me, it was just, and don't get me wrong, a lot of these writers take and stuff, but supposedly this was found in 2016 about this file that had this story that we're talking about currently. And this was a group of, like you said, misfits that worked under Churchill, supposedly, kind of like a secret force, I guess you can say. So it makes you think, and just seeing these characters portrayed, and it's true. You think about it, when you bring a team together and everybody has their specialties, it just makes it work so well when they gel together. It's kind of like us, like Countdown. We have a group, you know what I mean? Each of us has our specialties, you know?
We all got something, right? We all bring something to
Yeah,
the table.
exactly. But yeah, so anyway, so who's this guy?
Till Schweiger, who I know I've seen him in some previous things. He was also in Inglorious Bastards, actually.
Oh, he was?
Yeah, Till Schweiger. I don't know exactly who he played,
I'm gonna have
but
to go back and watch it now.
yeah, he's been in a few things that I've recognized. But he is a really good villain in this role, and man, I there's something about like these Nazi villains. Um, as long as you write them the correct way, man, they're just so compelling on screen. They're I don't want to make it sound like I'm like cheering on. I'm cheering the writing when they're writing these, German Nazi antagonists. They're very savvy. Um, they're intimidating with words, not just like violence and things like that. So when you write a good one, it works. It works on screen. And Till did a great job. He pulled off that role. Surprise! Carrie Elves was in this movie,
Oh
and
yeah.
I did not know he was in this one. But he was he had a kind of a smaller support role, but he's always great. He's always solid. Yeah, he's fantastic.
Yeah,
All
and,
in
and
all, had a good time watching this movie.
yeah, I mean, the way you said the story writing and making these villains, and it's kind of sad that they didn't really have to take too much to make these villains, us hate these villains, because technically they took from true stories of how the Nazis treated people. Because remember the scene that we're talking about, when the opening scene, when they get them on the boat, they basically tell them, hey, you either can stay on this burning boat or you can swim.
Oh yeah,
And we're going to, we'll follow you to shore. And they talk about what they did to that one guy who chose to swim to shore. And just as he was going to get to shore, they kill him. And that's how bad these people were, back in the day. And I think, of course, back then, of course, laws weren't as they are now, but it just makes you think like how cruel these people were back in the day. And people like these soldiers that, worked under Churchill and did what they did. I mean, like I mean, of course, they just exaggerated in this movie, but I just can imagine back then, you know what I mean? Technology isn't where it used to be. I mean, they show the telegraphs and stuff like that communicating between each
the
other
Morse
using,
code. Yeah.
yeah, so there's no internet, there's nothing. So it's so crazy how back in the day how things were. Like when you knocked out the communications, that's it. There's no internet, there's no drones, there's no, you know what I mean? It's just so intriguing just seeing this whole thing fall into play with the action, and especially with when they're told to abort the mission, but these group of guys say, "Change of plans, guys."
Change of
Like,
plans. Change of
yeah.
plans.
So that's just me. Like I said, that's why I love this one so much. Is just because I love these type of movies, and when the story's great and it's taken from true stories to a certain extent, that just makes it even better.
Yeah.
But
I talked about a lot of the things that we liked. You did as well, and then just a couple of things that I would say didn't help. There are some very small, a couple of things that kind of took me out of the movie.
okay,
I mentioned there's a lot of violence, a lot of brutal deaths. I think the sheer number of what we saw, and it almost felt like this team was sort of going through these, no name villains like Rambo at times. I mean, like they were just invincible. I that 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 type of writing, or just, having that component of just like completely decimating large numbers of like clueless, no name villains sometimes took me out of it. Not all the time. Sometimes it was like, okay, this is now feeling like, okay, now this is feeling like, what's it called? This is feeling like you just have no stakes. It's just feeling like you're just invincible and stuff. The other thing was Alan Ritson running around with a bow and arrow.
dude, that was crazy.
Wait, it sounds cool on paper, but him being able to, shoot off 10 arrows before anybody shoots a bullet, sometimes, yeah, I'll buy it. The first few kills, I was like, okay, that's really awesome. By maybe the 10th or the 20th kill, I'm like, um,
Okay,
maybe
get,
not that's profi- if- not that efficient. It shouldn't be as efficient as he was making it out to be. So, not a deal breaker, but I was at a point where I'm like, okay, this is taking me out of the story once or twice, two
well, I thought,
two or three
okay,
times.
to a certain extent too, because I was gonna mention that too, because it's like I'm pretty sure you've shot in a bow and arrow before, and when you shoot it, if you're shooting at a deer, shooting at a javelina or something, when you shoot it, it doesn't go through the animal. It just hits and just that's it. This stuff, well, I mean, okay, mind you, this dude was built. So, of course, mind you, this is pre, arrows where they're designed to, all that. Part of me was thinking, okay, is it because he was so strong that they were going through the body and like going through one soldier through the other? That's I was kind of like, I've never seen that before. I'm kind of curious. Is that true? Can that happen? We need Mythbusters on this one to go and test it out and see if it can be done. You know what I mean?
They will do it. They probably will. I think that's definitely a movie, or sorry, that definitely is an episode that they need to do.
Yeah. I mean, and it's true because it's like I remember that one scene where he shoots to the one guy and hits the other guy, and it just literally hits him, and he stays right behind. You see the guy drop. So yeah, I kind of thought the same thing to a certain extent on some of that stuff. But even the knife stuff, I mean, it was just oh man, crazy.
Yeah, like it's some parts were borderline comic book. You expect some of those things in a comic book movie, or just like I mentioned earlier, Rambo. When Rambo's going through an entire battalion by himself without a scratch, then you're like, wait a minute. But this one, not on that level for sure. But yeah, I wish it would have, if it would have stayed grounded throughout those action sequences, it would have been all better. I would have been all for it. It would have been that much better. But like I mentioned, still entertaining. Um, s- Still good. Enjoyed it. Had a good time. Crowd was into it. And let's get to our Geek Cast rating, shall we? 1 to 5 scale. one being worst movie ever, five being best movie ever. And I'm gonna give this one 3.5. Definitely above average. I enjoyed it. Um, Good script by Guy Ritchie. Great performances by Alan, Henry, Isa, of course. Till, who I mentioned earlier, the villain. I really liked him in his role. And solid flick. Honestly, it was a 2 hour movie. Felt like it went by really, really
Yeah,
fast.
it
I was
didn't
just
drag. It was action constant.
yeah, didn't drag whatsoever. It was just like in a blink of an eye, it was over, and it not because it was too short. It was just like you didn't have any time to like sit around doing anything. Then like I mentioned earlier, I wish we would have kind of spent a little bit more time with some of the supporting characters. But yeah, 3.5 for me. What about you?
Okay, like I told you, I'm a sucker for these type of movies, war movies. I'm gonna give it 5 hearts. And if you watch the movie, you know what I mean by hearts. That's all I gotta say. But yeah, I give it 5. It was
Interesting. All
definitely
right.
good. Yeah.
That brings us to a 4.25, not too shabby, as I always say. And we want to hear from you guys. When you get a chance to check out the movie, let us know what you think about it. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And let us know what your own rating is for the Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare. If you haven't already heard, we are giving out movie passes all summer long to some of the biggest movies. If you're in the Texas area or sometimes surrounding states, we are giving away movie passes almost every week to brand new films. And these are advanced screening tickets. So if you want your opportunity to potentially check out one of these summer movies early, be sure to follow us on social media and check out our website at www.countdowncitygeeks.com. That'll do it for us. Once again, my name is Ted, aka Steady. Joining me on this review is the one and only Retro Ray.
All right, guys. Till next time.
Take it easy, guys. Peace.